to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bethany. Today I am working in the yard a bit. I am doing some weeding that I didn't plan on doing when I first came out here. I was coming out to pull just a few things, and as I got going I realized how much there actually was to do. So I'm going to work through this flower bed up here and take you along as I do not the fun part of keeping a garden, if you want to call what I have a garden. It's my mini learning garden, so that's what I'm up to today. So these are all under my Laura petalum shrubs, and I guess they're not giant, but there's just so many, and it's very hard to get in there because, you know, these things hang down, and there's spider webs and all kinds of stuff. So it's very tempting to just let it be, and I may not do very much today, but I'll go after a few of them. Ooh, look at this one. No. Project, I quickly realized how evident the spiritual connection is with something like weeding. Weeds are a nuisance. Everybody knows that. The thing is, some weeds are kind of cute at first. Some are pretty. Some produce flowers, and even my daughter will say, "Why is that a weed? It has a flower." You know, and I tell her about how they just take over. They can be invasive, and so it's not the kind of flower that you want to have because it causes more harm than good. So there's that aspect about weeds, that they can sometimes appear harmless. Obviously, there are some that are very clearly not good, like ones with thorns on them or thistles, ones that are viney and kind of wrap around things and snuff out the life. So then there's another aspect of weeds that I kind of realized as I was working out here today. Weeds that are more obvious to the eye, when you just look at a flower bed and that you see them, those are the ones that you go after first, because they are messing up the way that it looks and you don't want them to hurt your plants. And they're also easy to get to. Typically, they're not always easy to uproot necessarily, but they're easy to get and remove, and it helps, clear up the way it looks. The ones that are hidden and the ones that are further under the plants, under shrubs maybe, those are the ones that are the most trouble, because they're not as visible, so you don't notice them as often, and so you're not thinking about them as much. When you go to address them and you go to find them, they've often taken over in a way that's very hard to control. They are a pain. And in our own lives, it's like sin. There are things that are very obvious to us that we wrestle with daily. It's like our typical thing that we struggle with. The things that we struggle with that are more easy to see and more easy to spot, sometimes those can be the things that we spend the most time dealing with, when really we need to be after the things that are going to get really deep rooted and stay in the shadows. And this is where it connects to something that David wrote in the Psalms when he asked God to search his heart and to know his anxious thoughts and see if there be any wicked way in him and lead him into the way everlasting. Like, there's this prayer for God to expose the things in us that are harmful, wicked, that would cause us anxiety. And that is so true for us today as well. If we don't intentionally ask God every single day to help us, take an inventory. What are the things that are keeping us from responding the way we need to in a moment of frustration? Loving people in the most complete way that we possibly could. What are the things that are keeping us more focused on ourselves and not focused on other people? What are the things that make us, flip out in a moment's notice over something insignificant? What's the root of that anger? Is it righteous? Is it sin? There are physical things we can remove from our lives so that we're not tempted to do certain things. But things that affect our character and affect the health of the fruit of the Holy Spirit in us, those are the types of things that every single day we have to surrender and ask God to search our hearts and to help us give up those things, those areas of control, those areas of frustration, those areas of selfishness and pride. I hope that you feel encouraged to know that you're not alone with the weeds in your yard or the weeds in your heart. It's something that every single person who is on this earth has to deal with. And it's something that Jesus came to make possible for us to eradicate in eternity. It's just that life is a process of ridding ourselves of those weeds and the things that would entangle us.